I'm trying to process what's happened. I was debating whether or not to say anything right now. This is very much a hot take about what happened in Itaewon last night. Um, yeah, so many thoughts going in my head. So last night, I'm sure you heard that there was a stampede during Halloween celebrations in Itaewon. Um, yeah, no one so far. No one I knew was injured. Most of the people I know were not there. A few people were. Um, And that's the thing. I myself was in Hongdae when it happened, and that was I was at a Rocky Horror Picture Show event. Otherwise, I would have just been home. We did the tour last night, and I just went there, and there was traffic more than usual. I thought it was just Halloween traffic, but it might have been related to what was happening there because traffic in one part of the city affects the rest of the city. Um, Yeah, it was up till 6 a.m. keeping up with all the news. I was even interviewed by one outlet. Um, yeah. Um, Still processing. There's so much to talk about. There's so much blame's going to be done. Uh, some things I've gotten from the news and from off the news that they're not reporting. I'm not going to try to spread rumors or anything. Um, but yeah, I've been in that crowd. I'll talk about that later. That there were conspiracies going around that there were people on drugs. Of course, that's the first thing that comes out with anything with the Itaewon. Uh, and that this was planned. Of course, the conspiracies are going to come out. And we got to watch for that. The only thing that's been confirmed or was one quote in the New York Times from a young person that was there is they were in the crowd and they heard some young men in the back chanting push, 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 which to me, that seems like the most plausible catalyst. Um, yeah. Um, I woke up my daughter and hugged her. And she stayed up with me for a bit. Yeah, so I didn't get to bed till 6. Anyway, yeah, my history with I've been there for Halloween and I've watched it grow because there really was nothing to do here for Halloween for the longest time. This is one of the reasons we made the Dark Side of Soul Ghost Walk was back then, 2010, 2012. There wasn't that much to do. And I used to go to Itaewon sometimes for just to see what was going on. And I remember I did try to stop by there in 2015 and there was no parking. So I just didn't, I was in my car. So there's nowhere to park. So I just decided to skip it and go home. And from then on, I just knew, do not go to Itaewon for Halloween. Do not go there. 2019, I happened to be there because a friend of mine was having a going away party near there, and we decided to have a round of drinks in that area where the stampede happened last night. And I did take a video. I think I put it on Instagram and TikTok. Did I put it on TikTok? No, it's Instagram. It's Instagram. I put it on Instagram about how crazy that crowd was, and I was like, "This is nuts." Turn around. That was around the same time that the famous opening Halloween scene was filmed for the Korean drama Itaewon Class on Netflix, which again, I think helped promote Itaewon even more as the place to go to for Halloween. There are other places to go to for Halloween, but Itaewon has been kind of known as that. But I just don't, I just don't get why people, I mean, when it's that crowded and was getting a reputation for being that crowded, I don't see what the appeal is of going to something like that, unless it's a serious case of FOMO. As we said on our podcast, we released an episode of Dark Side of Soul this week about Korean Halloween. And one of the mantras we kept saying was, do not go to Itaewon for Halloween. You will not have fun. We didn't expect it to be, oh gosh, who would have expected? Well, didn't expect it to be this bad. Nonetheless, there were a lot of warning signs I think authorities could have anticipated. It had been growing more, but I remember we've gone through 2 years of Halloweens during Corona, and they were really trying to restrict access to Itaewon for Halloween. And still it failed because they didn't supply enough manpower. They didn't have systems in place or effective systems in place. They were extremely unprepared. And this might be the only blaming I would do. There's going to be a lot of blaming going around. I mean, we're all still processing this. This is how I deal with things. I got to talk it through. I got to talk about, well, the first thing I do whenever there's a tragedy is I make a tasteless joke, which I'm going to avoid. I'm going around trying to find out if anyone I knew was there, but it looks like it was mostly teenagers and 20 somethings. Because, yeah, people who have been to Itaewon on Halloween know not to go to Itaewon on Halloween. Yeah, so, we did that podcast about it. Yeah, I think the authorities, it's pretty obvious that it was going to be pretty bad. There should have been at least some kind of organization for that area. Because we have so much crowd control when there's even the smallest protest down in Gwanghwamun. But that's because those are protests against the people in power. So my voice is gone. But yeah, when it comes down to public safety, just no one thinks about crowd control. And again, this is why Korea? I mean, we've had one in Indonesia this month that was caused by the police. But this is why Korea gets these types of disasters. We've been exploring that in we had a 4-part series on our podcast about this pattern of disasters. And the one pattern that has come out is South Korea is, it seems like it ignores problems that are very predictable, very obvious. What one expert calls a lack of strategic thinking, but really good at tactical thinking, as in doesn't really plan for the worst, doesn't plan for the future, doesn't plan for the shit to hit the fan. But when the shit does hit the fan, it takes action and cleans it out really quickly. And unfortunately, it just happens to be, it always has to take a humongous tragedy to just do something about it. I mean, just don't bother doing anything until people die. Say, well, don't bother with safety issues on ships until you had that happen. A lot of traffic laws did not go into place, especially drunk driving, until you had a lot of kids getting killed. Even, just things are so foreseeable. I talked about, I talk about the 2018 Olympics had a lot of time. 10 years from the time they were lobbying the Olympic Committee to do the Olympics in Pyeongchang, to prepare for this. And they built a whole train system there and did not anticipate that, oh my God, one of Korea's biggest holidays is during the Olympics. All the train seats will be taken. How will the foreign visitors go to the Olympics? Who could have thought? Who could have predicted it would happen? I don't know. I don't understand crowd culture. Maybe it's just I'm so agoraphobic or whatever it's called. I hate crowds. I hate going to department stores. I hate going to any place. I'm uncomfortable in any crowd. I'm uncomfortable in parties. I don't understand them. We on our tours, we really limit the numbers. We can go higher, but we limit the numbers because it just becomes problematic. It's going to be predictable. Brace yourselves. Since Itaewon is associated with foreigners are going to get blamed. They got blamed during the May 2020 COVID outbreak over in Itaewon, even though that was at Korean clubs. Okay, this is the one controversial thing I am going to say. Because, God, it's so sad. The Korean media, I don't know, I'm so scared. Korean commentators, people whispering, spreading the rumors on the boards, on the cafes, are going to blame it as foreigners. Halloween's a foreign concept. We shouldn't be doing anything foreign. That's what you get for hanging out with foreigners. Keep in mind that section of Itaewon, up until maybe 10 years ago, from 10 years ago, at least, that has been majority Korean owned, that whole area. They successfully pushed out the foreign business owners based there to make their fake versions of foreign bars. It's when I remember specifically when it changed. They tore down this one section to open up to lengthen this road. This one snooty bar opened up right behind the Hamilton Hotel. The type of bar where the first thing a woman will say to someone is what car do you drive? Those types of places. And it would be populated by people who drive those types of cars that those types of people are looking for. And that's when the composition started changing, as in you start getting the Gangnam locusts, you start getting what some people called the tourists. But anyway, it became like a fake version of an international area there. It was greedy gentrification. So, it would be ironic. It's going to be sad. The foreigners will be blamed, even though that entire swath is run by Korean nationals. Now, I think there's only one place I know of there that is still foreign owned. Everyone's been pushed out. The foreigners have been here a long time that are going to go near that area. They would have been at Haebangchon. No one would have. I'm surprised to hear that anyone went to Itaewon or were considering going to Itaewon. But yeah. I really hope something changes from this. I really hate it that something like this has to happen for things to change. Why is there no crowd control? Why is there no active, proactive crowd control? So many young people. Again, we keep sacrificing our young. And we knew that during Corona, there's been this what people call revenge travel, revenge celebrations going on. Um, I've noticed that, even my just places I just grabbed dinner at before the tours, it's impossible to get in there because of all the lines and lines and lines of people coming out now. The crowds are growing all the time. And this was so predictable. I just wish, I don't know. I mean, we warned people not to go there, but it wasn't because of that. And I don't know. I was thinking I had much to say about this, but I'm still speechless. I'm so hurt. Um, I mean, it is a very special place. As much as I shit on Itaewon, it's still a very special place, and it's just so sad. So much tragedy keeps happening there. So many bad things keep happening there that could be so avoided. Um, so much irresponsibility. And I really don't get this attraction to being in crowds. I really don't get it. I mean, that's why you don't go to Soraksan Mountain this time of year. It's just crowds. I don't go hiking on the main paths. No, people don't go, we say don't go hiking on the main paths of Bukhansan Mountain because, it's crowded. Why would anyone want to go to these crowded places? I mean, not like New York street crowded. I'm talking about squeezed. I mean, I've been to these crowds before. Usually, I mean, by not by choice. In the subways. I mean, what does this mean? I mean, what are we going to do about crowd control here? Because crowds are unavoidable. Because we are going to still face crowded subway trains. I mean, there's a slight bit of crowd control in some of the lines during peak hours. But I just don't get why people want to do that much. I mean, where you feel you're in the crowd. I've seen some of the videos, and I remember being in crowds like that, where it's a wave. Everyone just flows like a wave, and you're just squeezed up, and you just have you can't control where you're going. You just flow. You just float along with the stream of the crowd. It's such a nightmare. Anyway, just yeah. I was going to say I hope you're okay, but it feels so shallow to say I hope you're okay because a lot of people are not okay. Um, yeah, I think in future when we're gonna have our thoughts together on this one, this is my quick take is this was very very predictable, and again, uh, the people and the authorities, private and public, failed their youth again. Um, and yeah, this type of crowds wouldn't have existed in the pre-gentrified Itaewon. So, I mean, say if it was greed that helped contribute to this, um, and all this pent up energy from COVID. All right, guys. I mean, if you listen to me, thanks for listening. I just I just need to talk to someone. This is my therapy. All right. Thanks for putting up with me. Until next time. Stay safe out there.